Hey there, honey.
Hello.
Hi. Listen, I'm just going to interview you a little bit about the planning process because you did so much in terms of actually planning our route, understanding, of course, that we have to have flexibility and it has already changed along the way. But what were some of the considerations?
General route was starting in the Dodecanese in Leros and then across the Cyclades, and from the Cyclades over to the Peloponnese, and then western Greece up to Corfu and to Albania. And there's lots of islands out here, I think 6,000 or so to be exact.
Why Albania, by the way? Because that's not our ultimate destination.
For Albania, if we go out of the EU and then come back in, that resets our clock on the VAT tax on the boat. We can keep the boat in the water or sailing being used for 18 months without paying VAT, at which point we have to pay about a 22% tax on the value of the boat.
Got it.
Whereas if we step out to Albania for a day or two and then come back in, that resets the clock for another 18 months. So on planning, during the long, cold winter in San Diego, I looked a lot at Navionics, which is a charting program, and Navily, which tells about all the different ports and harbors and what's going on and places to anchor. I tried to map it out so that every day we would only have maximum of 20 miles or less between ports or harbors. Sometimes it's as little as 5, and that way we can enjoy many different sites. Also give us this flexibility as if we wanted to stay one place for 2 days, then skip the next one. Well, it didn't really matter because then that only adds an extra 5 or 10 miles to our course. Also, with Navily and everything else, you have to look at the wind direction. It's hard to plan 6 months ago, but I went with prevailing wind directions. So you want to be in anchorages that are protected and not on a lee shore, and that is always subject to change. So I always have a backup plan. Almost all the islands have anchorages on both sides. So if one side is a leeward shore, then the other side is a windward shore with protection. So you have those options. Also for the ability to mix it up between, I tried to go duck, duck, goose, where duck, duck was anchor and goose was a town wall, so we could go in and tie up stern to and enjoy the town without dropping the dinghy or motoring in or to reprovision and just experience the town life. So, but this is all subject to change. For instance, we just spent 8 days of the boat in Eos because the Miltemi was blowing 35 knots plus every day. That's just not comfortable sailing. So we just stayed in port, got to know Eos really well. Took a ferry down for a couple of days of wonderful Santorini, stayed in a hotel there and came back. So flexibility is important. On our Excel spreadsheet, I had it set up with all the different ports and the mileages in between, and I run in cumulative total. So you could look each day and say, okay, this is where I'm at. If I want to go to this place or this place, and it told the mileages already, so we could make those decisions depending on which way the wind was coming from. Also for each one of those, I put in a link from Navily for the particular harbor, so it tells about the restaurants, the anchorages, the harbor master, and everything else you could possibly want to know by just clicking on it. So it's kind of a one-stop shop on that. So we also have a second sheet that is the actual route. It shows where we can compare the planned route or planned itinerary opposed to what we're really taking for whatever reason, due to weather, or we just changed our minds. And it's all accessed on the one sheet it has on the planning sheet.
I also noticed that you had a column for notes. For example, if you heard along the way from someone about something in particular, something to see there or do there, or something not to do in terms of safety or what have you, that was, I think, very helpful as well.
Yes, I just tried to put them all on one sheet so we didn't have to keep jumping back into Navily unless we wanted to. It was just all right there and a plan for each day, so the next day you can look ahead and say, all right, we're going to beach that you have to stay to the right where the sand is, the sandy patches, and not the weeds and the rocks to the left-hand side of the beach. So it's just anything like that. Harbor master notes. Just very helpful to plan ahead and look for each day.
So why do you have two things going here? I noticed that you have your tablet here.
Yes.
I'll just try to focus on the tablet so people can see that. But you also have your chart plotter going. What's going on with that?
I do the same thing. The tablet's just in front of me, so it's easier to see than always looking over to the side. On the chart plotter, I have to, if I want to go from point A to point B and there's rocks, an island, or something else in between, I have to put in all the different waypoints to steer around that. Whereas on Navily, it will automatically come up with a route. I just put the beginning point, the ending point, hit automatic, and it will route me the shortest route around any obstacle. So I can do it on either, but it's quicker. And it might even have it in the B&G. I just haven't figured it out yet. So
Do
it's
you
a learning process.
do you have the pro version or the regular free version of Navily?
We pay the extra for the pro because that gives you, I think, 4 days look ahead for wind at the anchorages as opposed to 1 day. So when you're trying to plan where you're going to be going 2 days down the road, it has the predicted winds. Of course, the key here is predicted because everything here in the Mediterranean is subject to change. Today it's a mill pond out here. Yesterday it was a maelstrom. So I mean, 2 different days. Yesterday it was 3 to 6 foot swells minimum and 35 knots of gusts, 30 knots steady. Today it's blowing 3.8 knots and I don't know, about 3 inches of swell.
And we also we started off on a close reach, and within seconds we were on a broad reach, even though we're going in the same direction.
Yep. And now we're trying to be close hauled, but that's tough in 3 knots of wind. So it changes, and we're scanning the horizon. We'll see if the wind kicks in. If not, if it stays under 3 knots, we'll finally kick in the iron Jenny, turn on the motor.
So just for those who might be watching who are not sailors, tell them why you're looking up all the time instead of, say, looking at me or the camera.
Because I'm antisocial. No, the wind is a whopping, we're up to 4 knots now. It's increasing and changing direction. So I'm looking at the sails, the telltales on the sail. I'm also looking at the windex on the top of the mast or the electronics ones. I like wind indicators. I grew up sailing with telltales and windex, so I'm more inclined to look at that than I am at the electronics. But that's why I keep looking up and around. So I'm trying to coax the maximum speed out of the boat with minimum winds that we have.
You always say whenever there's 2 sailboats around, there's a race in at least 1 cockpit, but I guess that would be kind of hard in 3 knots of wind.
Yeah, I'm not sure who
and
we're
I
racing.
don't really see anybody
everyone
around.
else turned on their motors and went that way. So I've seen 3 boats come out and they all went that way.
Got it.
So they just headed somewhere else.
So in the video to follow, I'll take you from place to place, from island to island. And then there's a little bit of a theme along the way. So it's not going to be much of a tourist thing or a how-to thing. It's going to help you to understand some of what we experience when we're there. I think you'll find it, humorous to some extent, informative to some extent. And of course, you can let me know what you think. So in preparation for our trip from Leros to Lipsey, we had to do 3 things. We had to prepare our ditch bag that was inherited from the owners of this boat, the original owners. And we had to, or I should say Corey, had to go up the mast to do some safety checks and repairs. And last but not least, we got to install our dishwasher, all part of the learning experience. I'm going to be checking the safety equipment this morning. First thing you might notice is that we do have an EPIRB. That means that if we have an unfortunate incident and we're in the water, we can be located through the device itself. Let's see what's inside our ditch bag since it came with the boat. Until now, it's a big mystery, so let's open up these particular canisters. This one is marked meds, so let's see what kind of medication they've included. And that would be 0. This one is marked first aid. Looks like there's some bandages and maybe some antibacterial cream. Okay, lesson learned, not to trust your ditch bag when it's inherited. There are some flashlights, so I'll check the functionality on that. If the batteries are corroded or just don't work, I'll address that as well. So moving right along, we do have reflective mirrors, which is very important. We have a couple of mylar blankets, also very important. We have a blunt knife, important as well, and then we also have, looks like something that might be used for compression for first aid. So we have a few things to buy that are not currently available to us, because other than what I have described, it's basically some miscellaneous first aid equipment. One of the things we have to do is get a collapsible fishing rod. That would be for, obviously, for emergency purposes, for food, if we were in the water for an extended period of time. No. Demonstration of the emergency fishing rod preparation.
또 φτιάξουμε το τι θα βάλει τελικά. Ψαράκι. Ναι. Θα βάλεις πάνω. Βάλει μια παραμάνα. Βάλει.
So Naval is a great, or Naval as we would call it, is a great yacht supply place in Leros. So let's go in and see if they have some of the things we need for our emergency ditch bag. It's kind of a small shop, but I know just how good these people are, and chances are pretty good that if they don't have what I need, they will find it for me. Hello. I need a couple of things from my ditch bag. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So the first thing we need is an emergency whistle. We have one or two attached to the ditch bag, but I want to just have one with the life rafts as well.
But
Yeah.
you're looking for something like this.
Yeah, actually that would be perfect. Okay, so I'll take that. What about signal flares?
We don't supply them.
Okay.
Because of the law.
Okay.
Here in Greece, but I can send you to a store that they can provide it.
Oh, okay, perfect, perfect. So maybe like the hardware store down the road?
Exactly.
Okay, I'll go there. And then what about something to contain a few liters of water?
My colleague Maria is gonna look for them.
Okay.
She's gonna search them. We will
Great.
be back to you, and I will text you in the afternoon.
Okay, oh great, you're gonna use WhatsApp?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh, that's so convenient. This way I won't have to waste a trip for no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Have a good day.
Here are some other recent additions. I've added some water, some flares, an SOS beacon, some cash, and credit cards, and our passports, which will be in a Ziploc bag. These are actually duplicate passports for this specific reason. It's a viable reason to request a duplicate passport from the U.S. government, so just know that. We're getting there. At least stuff is more organized. First aid stuff, a SteriPin as I mentioned before, and so on. So I think we're at least making progress, getting more organized. And with our collapsible fishing rod, as well as our VHF, everything with lithium battery, so it lasts the longest possible time, we're pretty much ready to go. I'll give you a list in the next frame so that you can be sure that you'll have everything that you could possibly need to be safe. So here's my ditch bag inventory. Try to scroll through, and also I can just kind of talk to exactly, what it is you're seeing. Each one of these things is super, super important. Documentation, passports, cash, credit card, as well as anything that you might need for shelter, rescue, essential first aid supplies. Obviously medications are going to differ from person to person, but here's just some general things. If you have any very important medications, obviously you should have duplicates in your ditch bag. Most importantly, maintaining it properly. The life raft itself, by the way, which is a separate whole issue, does require maintenance every number of years to make sure that it's deploying properly. So anyway, it's your life, and so of course you want to treasure it and take care. So please do that, and best of luck as you're out and about. Preparation, of course, is much more important than luck, but we all need a little of that too. Thanks, and have a great day. This has been quite the saga regarding our washing machine. We ordered it when we were still in the US and begged them to get it here on time. This was April 2nd, and they said no problem. And it would take 5 days. And we got to Leros, to the boatyard, and it was not here on the 11th. I called on the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, to everyone from the courier to the manufacturer themselves and so on. I was told it was in Leros, but nobody knew exactly where. And so I ended up Googling the telephone number that I had as a contact and found out that this particular courier was actually across the street from the marina. So with Google Maps, figured that out, and then went across the street, and what did I see on the forklift about to go into the warehouse as opposed to our boat? But a huge box with the name of Bellitzina on it, which is our boat and our washing machine. What have you got there?
Your new washing machine. Yes, and there'll be a continuing saga of getting it in and installed. This is
right.
Just part one.
Exactly.
All right.
Hey honey, I noticed that the floorboards are up and you seem to be engaged in a lot of serious work here. So what exactly is going on?
I'm fishing.
What does fishing mean?
Well, I don't mean for fish. We're running a circuit from the panel here. If you pan to your side there, you'll
I see
that we
what you
have
mean. Yep.
a panel for a washer dryer. However, we don't have a washer dryer hooked up, so I'm running a wire from the washer dryer down through this wall, fishing it through the floor, across this floor, and up in this wall, so we can put an outlet in here. And where I'm kind of sitting is where our new washer is going to be, hopefully by the end of the day.
Is it going to have its own circuit?
It'll have its own circuit on the circuit panel.
Nice.
It will be plumbed through this wall where we have access to water and drains.
Okay.
And we will be putting the electrical outlet in here. That's what I'm working on.
All right, it's getting exciting.
Yeah.
Sounds like at one point you hit a problem, and how are you getting around it?
Okay, so originally I was gonna run the wire under the floor, but there's stringers, solid stringers in the way on the bottom of the hole.
Okay.
Couldn't get the wire up through there, so I'm running it underneath this bilge where I'm at, and then running it up through under this berth.
Okay.
There was no way to get a drill in there to see what I was doing, so I have to cut an access hatch.
All right.
Which you picked up for me, thank you. So I run an access hatch, get the drill in there, drill down through the floorboards, into the bilge, fish the wire up, drill through here, into here, and this is where the washer is going to be, and we'll then have the plug in here.
All right. Very resourceful.
There you go. I'll battle swat uphill.
Okay.
All right, so we have the drain line run down through the bulkhead, through the other side, and tied into the drain for the shower, the sink, and it goes through a seacock outside.
All right.
On the other side, we are actually right in here. We can't see. Right there is where the water will connect to the washing machine. The hose is still on the washing machine, so that will run down through
Got
to
it.
that connection on that
Okay.
side. This side you come see the
I'll
mess
follow
we
you.
made,
Yep.
which I'm about to clean up.
Oh, what a mess.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you look down low, under the sink, or underneath the next one, you see where the plumbing comes through and is connected.
I
to
got
the
it.
drain.
Yep, I see it.
And there
All
you have
right.
it.
So we're almost there, huh?
Yep.
So I know there used to be shelves in here. You took the shelves out. I guess now you're reinforcing the shelf for the heavier load of the
Yes.
washing machine.
Temporary reinforcement because I wasn't smart enough to get what I needed earlier.
That's okay. So, honey, what's the outcome after all this excitement?
Almost
Work.
there. Had some slight drip on one of the drains. I tightened that up, so we're good. Water backs up into the sink basin a little bit, so I need to take apart the check valve under the sink on this side,
All right.
which is up inside there, but I'm trying to put the place back together so it looks pretty for you. The check valve is easily accessible
Very nice
directly
of you.
into the sink. Still need the door back on, clean up all the sawdust, collect all my tools.
But the basic gist is we have a washing machine, right?
We have a washing machine. I still need to get L brackets to strengthen this shelf more. So we're going to see pins for this shelf. So we have one more shelf in there.
All right, the hardware store opens at 5.
Yeah, so I'll be at the hardware store at 5 today, as usual. All right.
Thanks for all the hard work, honey.
Oh, my pleasure, baby.
So what are you doing?
Today's entertainment. Who needs Netflix? The new washing machine is in and running. First load, so I'm going to watch it turn one way and the other way.
Are you eating popcorn?
Yeah, kind of like going to the movies. Pretty exciting.
Okay. I see it sitting there. I don't see it moving.
Do you know how a washing machine works?
No.
You don't spend much time doing laundry.
Well, I don't spend much time watching it, that's for sure.
Well, then here, well, close it. You don't have to watch it. There it goes. See, look, it's spinning. It spins one way, soaks in the water, and then spins the other way, soaks in the water.
Well, I hope it gets more exciting than this. Eventually.
Maybe the spin cycle, if you want to wait around for that.
Okay.
That could be a while.
Okay, I'll do that. So Corey is going to be going to the top of a 71-foot mast. I am going to be down below using the winch to get him up, the electric winch, and also a safety, and communicating with him through headsets. He has to basically change out a light bulb that unfortunately is at the top of the mast. So before we get too far into going up the mast, I just wanted you to take a quick look at how much there is that has to be done, both before launch and after launch. So you can see it takes several days. In fact, for us, because we had things that had to be repaired, it was an entire week before we did this on the last day, before we actually took off from Leros to Lipsy.
All right, so preparing to go to the top of the mast. Denise will be cranking me up. Thank God we have electric winches. So I'll be going up on the main halyard, and then we have a spinnaker halyard as a safety that she'll keeping tension on. They're both locked through clutches so that if one were to part or let go, the other one keeps me in the air and I don't come tumbling 71 feet to the deck.
That is a good thing. All right. Ready to roll.
Ready. So I think I'm ready to go. I have my stuff in here. Tools on this side. Light bulbs on this side too. My silicone spray.
All right.
To contact cleaner, wire cutters, screwdrivers, etc., etc.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Stop. Safety, please.
Yes, sir. I'm pulling the safety. Okay. Hey, how's it going up there?
Going well. As you're hoisting me up, I'm spraying silicone spray into the mainsail track so the main will go up down easier. I'll do the shivs at the top with this as well. And then on the way back down, I'll go slowly and inspect it.
Okay, it looks like you have a few more feet to go.
Oh, about 8 feet.
Okay.
Hard to judge distance down there.
So I'm going to start at the bottom and go all the way to the top.
Well, this is what 71 feet in the air looks like from the top of the mast. And down to where Denise is, 71 feet below. Wave.
Okay, Captain, so give us a debrief on going up the mast and what you would have done differently, potentially.
Went up the mast to check the rig. The rig is fine. Lubricated all the sheaves for all the halyards, etc., etc. The masthead light for anchoring is a sealed unit, so I was not able to... Which you didn't know, right, ahead of time? Yeah. To do anything with the ball like when I got up there. It was a sealed unit.
Thank God for ChatGPT that you gave me the model number and we understood that it was futile to try to open it, right?
Otherwise I would have been up there cutting and prying, trying to get it open.
Right.
When they mounted it, it was kind of interesting because they mounted the light with the 3 screws to hold the metal plate that holds the windex, which is absolutely ridiculous. When I'm going to take the light off, the windex came loose. Fortunately, I was very quick and grabbed it and it didn't come crashing to the deck.
That must have been scary.
So I will go up with a drill and a stainless steel nut and bolt next time up and put one extra in, holding it directly to the masthead, so we can swap out anchor lights at will without an issue in the future.
Okay, well at least we're now on our maiden voyage, right, to Lipsy.
Trip.
All right.
Absolutely.